Dow Jones Average Live, latest updates as industrial index crashes by 1,400 points. The Dow Jones Industrial Average Index suffered innumerable losses in the stock markets today, crashing by 2,200 points in just 2 days. Here are all the latest Dow Jones Index updates, stock market prices and live news. Investors were dealt a crushing blow on Monday when the Dow Jones Index depreciated for a second day in a row, leaving the Dow 30 in the red. The industrial index opened at 25,337.87 points today, Monday, February 5, before crashing by almost 5% to a low of 23,923.88. The stock markets have not witnessed such drastic losses since the U.S. Congress rejected a $700 billion bailout of the banks, post-financial crash, in September 2008. All 30 of the companies listed on the Dow Index suffered losses ranging from 3 to 5%. The Dow Jones closed at 9 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. EST, at 24,345.75 points, down 4.60%. Here are the latest expert opinions, Dow Jones updates and live forecasts for the U.S. stock market. Monday, February 6. Monday, February 5. 00.58, Nikkei 225 index plummets by nearly 100 points. After half an hour of trading in Japan, the Nikkei 225 index has dropped 4.28% to 21,710.20, which is a fall of 971.88 points. 10:48 p.m., analyst warns turbulent periods ahead. A chief economist at Deutsche Bank is certain that the markets are headed for a rocky period, but will ultimately weather the storm. Torsten Slock said, "The allocation of money from risky assets to risk-free assets is going to be bumpy, as seen in markets today. Fundamentally, we expect such episodic bouts of turbulence, but the underlying economic expansion will continue." Meanwhile, Quincy Crosby, chief market strategist at Prudential Financial, said, "This sell-off, in the bigger scheme of things, is not that big. But it is very important in psychological terms." 10:34 p.m., the markets are recalibrating, argues investment analyst Richard Bernstein, CEO of Richard Bernstein Advisors in New York, said that today's events are a fine-tuning of the markets. Mr. Bernstein said, "I think what you're getting is a recalibration in both the bond and stock markets. Nobody can time short-term corrections. The question is whether you're heading for a multi-quarter curl-your-toes market in equities, and that's not on our radar." 10:24 p.m., senior investors urge clients not to panic over Dow crash. Austin Fry, CEO of Fry Financial Center, told his clients that the index crash was overdue and bound to happen sooner or later. He said, "We have our nervous clients who normally call on pullbacks, and that group is calling. We've been talking to them all afternoon. I tell them the market, on average, has a 5% drop twice a year, and that we haven't had one in a year and a half. I also tell them that if they buy after a big drop, in the long term, they will never be disappointed." 10 p.m., stock markets were tipped over the edge. David Kelly, the chief global strategist for J.P. Morgan Asset Management, argued that the stock markets were pushed over the edge by overindulgence. Mr. Kelly said, "It's like a kid at a child's party who, after an afternoon of cake and ice cream, eats one more cookie and that puts them over the edge." Meanwhile, Deputy White House Press Secretary Raj Shah urged investors to remain calm in the wake of the crash. He said, "Markets do fluctuate in the short term. We all know that. And they do that for a number of reasons. But the fundamentals of this economy are very strong and they're headed in the right direction, for the middle class, in particular." 9:50 p.m., Dow 30 suffered heavy casualties. All 30 companies listed on the Dow Index are in the red after the stock markets closed in New York. ExxonMobil Corp plunged by 5.44%, alongside the 3M Company down by 5.60%. Apple and Disney suffered similarly at losses of 2.79% and 3.68% respectively. Other major losses were suffered by Boeing Company, down 5.74%, and Viagra manufacturer Pfizer Incorporated, down 5.30%.